I chose to start BeeFree as a way to feed my son, who is on the autism spectrum, clean label food that was gluten-free, that was made with simple ingredients that tasted really delicious.
When Noblesville mom Jennifer Wiese was told her son Augie had autism back in 2007, she rolled up her sleeves and went to work in the kitchen, where after a number of fits and starts, she created a recipe she thought would help Augie. Wiese went to market with her BeeFree gluten-free snack mix 15 years ago, and she's never looked back.
I see BeeFree in convenience stores across the country. I see it in specialty stores, in mainstream groceries. So that's our goal, is to get our food into where people shop.
More on the amazing journey of Indiana entrepreneur Jennifer Wiese, her recipe for success, how she's giving back to the community, and why family is still at the heart of the mission.
BeeFree is not only a name, it's a brand, but we look at it as a way of life.
The Business and Beyond podcast, presented by PNC, is next. And I'm pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Jennifer Wiese. Jennifer is the founder of BeeFree. It's a line of gluten-free granola snacks inspired by her son. Jennifer, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, your story is a great one, and I certainly have enjoyed having you on the TV show in the past. It's been a while, though, and I know there's a lot you can talk about in terms of growth and your journey as an entrepreneur and all those kinds of things. But first of all, to get people who may not know about BeeFree, give us the thumbnail description of your products and why they're unique.
Of course. Thank you. So BeeFree makes a line of gluten-free, simple, pure ingredient snacks. And we do that because we saw a need in the marketplace way back in 2007 when my son was diagnosed with autism. And we really looked at food as medicine for him, and kind of way back before many people were really doing that. It wasn't really that popular, but it certainly was effective for our son and for our family. And so our snacks are all based around simple ingredients. Number one, they're gluten-free. Number two, they're all ingredients that you can pronounce and identify. Super simple, short ingredient list. And we're really focused on taste as well. So, we're looking to create customers for life. We want people to see our packaging in the stores and in the airports and wherever they are, and identify it with, number one, delicious food, and that's made with simple, pure ingredients. And then, right alongside of that, our real heartbeat is jobs for people with autism. And so we'll probably talk about that later. I would imagine you might have some questions about that. But tasty, convenient food that supports your body and your soul.
Take us back to that moment when your son was diagnosed and how that sparked this idea for BeeFree.
Well, my husband and I are problem solvers. Number one, we have a heart for our family. And so, when that diagnosis happened, we were terrified. We didn't have a point of reference for autism other than the really extreme cases, that we had seen on TV or read about. And certainly autism wasn't talked about and as accepted as it is today. And so then it was very frightening. And so, we just looked at, we just dug in and we really searched high and low for information, impactful, powerful, supportive information. And we had to go really far to find it, but we didn't give up. And so what we found was an autism conference actually in Vancouver, British Columbia in 2007. And we went there and we learned about all these things that people were doing to help support loved ones with autism. And one of those was gluten-free. And that was the thing that we felt the most comfortable about. We could kind of wrap our hands around that. None of it seemed foreign or really harmful. And so that's where the idea came from. And because there weren't a whole ton of great choices in the marketplace when we got back home, we just got busy in our kitchen, enlisted my mom, and she came right alongside of me eagerly, willing to help and create some gluten-free recipes that tasted really good. but
So
it took a
you,
long time.
yeah, so it was trial and error, I guess, testing
It
in the
was.
kitchen and finding out what tastes good. Talk about what that was like. That had to be an interesting time in your life.
It was very interesting. And, also because there weren't websites and we didn't have this access to videos and information like we do now. I mean, the closest thing that my mom found was a lady who wrote a cookbook. She's in Fort Wayne. She wrote a cookbook all about gluten-free, and it had black and white pictures. And I was so excited to get something that was tangible that I could really put my hands around and really start to kind of just practice. And we joke that our dog got really fat during those days because we fed the scraps to our dog, and there were so many things that just didn't taste good. And it literally, I know you're going to laugh at this, Gary, but it took years for us to develop recipes that tasted really good, that you couldn't tell the difference between gluten-free and not gluten-free. It was just good and everybody wanted to eat it.
Yeah, so
So
it took some time. How many
it did.
how many rejections of recipes did you probably make back in those days before you found something that you liked?
Well, I have the original cookbook that is just a notebook that I would use to write recipes or edit recipes, and then I would make notes on it, and I would check off how many times I made or remade the recipe until it was just right. And there's a lemon cake in there that I tried 18 different versions of the recipe to find one that was just right.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Wow, that's
so
crazy.
few.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the early days, but let's go fast forward to today in terms of from those beginnings and all of the trial and error. How many stores, where can we find your products today?
Oh, yes. You can find our products all over the country. We're in 5 divisions of Kroger. You'll find us in Costco, Market District, Meijer, lots of different independents, coffee shops scattered across the country. And also, you'll find us in airports. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll find us. That's a brand new venture for us. So, you'll find us in about 361 airport locations throughout the country at Hudson News.
Mhm.
And so we're really just super excited about that. And we actually were at the Indianapolis airport last week. They invited us to come and do a tasting on World Autism Day. So that was really fun to take our team out there and get some exposure.
Yeah.
So
Did you always view this as a business opportunity, or did it just the business opportunity just kind of come along?
it just came along. I've always had entrepreneurial spirit. My first business was when I was in high school. My mom and I started a gift wrap company, and then I had a jewelry business after that. So I've always had that entrepreneurial itch kind of inside. But in the early days when I started this, it was purely finding a solution for my son. And then the timing was right. 2008 rolled around. We were doing some farmers markets, and we got really incredible confirmation from our community that people wanted what we had. And I have that personality that, I like to be challenged with a problem and find a solution for it. And I'm also a giver. So I just all those things kind of combined. I felt like I had something that was a little bit of a secret that I was able to figure out. And if I could share it with other people, it would make their lives easier. It would make their lives tastier and healthier. And so I just felt like I had something to share. And I was supported by my family and my community. And so, yeah, so it started in 2010.
Yeah, do you remember that kind of that moment that you realized that, hey, maybe we have something here, you've got some great tasting products, people are going to be interested in it. You started to connect with some stores and some outlets. When was that?
Well, I think the first big aha moment was I delivered a birthday cake. Those were back in the days when I was making everything in a small rented kitchen in downtown Noblesville, and I was hand delivering things. And so I had to order for a birthday cake, and it had a Star Wars kind of theme to it. And I hand delivered it to this woman, and she answered the door and she looked at the cake and she broke down in tears. It was her 30th birthday. She had been diagnosed with celiac disease for many, many years, and she couldn't remember the last time she was able to eat a birthday cake because no one could make a gluten-free birthday cake. So that was a big aha moment that I created a lot of joy for somebody, and that made me feel really good. So that was one. And then the other was when I got my first kind of retail account, and that was Earth Fare. When they first came to Noblesville, it was our first store in Indiana. And I just, went the old fashioned way and knocked on the door and introduced myself, asked for the grocery manager, and we did a tasting in the back room of their stock room. And, that was the first retail door that was cracked open for me. And that was exciting for me. And I thought, all right, well, if I can do this in one small chain, I can probably do it in others. And so that just really, I've had a lot of support and a lot of people who they could see the vision. They saw something in what I had that believed in me and gave me a chance. And so I've had a lot of those stories over the years.
What was the biggest as you began to grow? What was the biggest challenge? Was there one thing? There were probably multiple challenges, but what was there one thing that really stood out?
Well, this is a very capital intensive industry. And so one of the things is just money, just having access to money in order to grow. In this industry, you pay for everything up front before you get paid. And so it takes a lot on the upfront, on the front side of it. So yeah, in the early days, just kind of going through those growth hurdles and knowing that I was gonna need some help. If I wanted this to grow, was gonna need some help. So
Talk about today in terms of production. Obviously, you're pumping out a lot of product.
yeah.
Where do you do it? How does distribution work? All those kinds of things. Because it's sad, you mentioned all these stores, but you have to think, okay, there's a lot of production that goes with that. There's a lot of logistics and all the things that go along with it. Talk about that.
Of course. So our current production is located in Michigan, and we have grown through many steps. And each step, we look at where are our resources, where are they located, what's our capabilities and capacities, and how can we best maximize our resources. And so we have had in the past manufacturing in the state of Indiana, and we've had to make some changes just because of our growth and because of some of the qualifications and certifications that are required for us, for our type of business, to work with customers like Costco and Kroger, and they have very high standards. And so that's partially why our manufacturing is located in Michigan right now. We certainly see that there is a potential for us to move that to Indiana. Lots of opportunities, but that's our structure right now. And our distribution is made such that our trucks either come to the manufacturer in Michigan and pick it up and take it all over the country to stores, or it comes back to our warehouse in Indiana. And then from there, it gets dispersed and picked up and transferred to retailers.
Yeah.
So we have a combination. We use a variety of national distributors as well as some regional and local distributors to get our product where it needs to go. And we do, some of that direct as well. So we have kind of a very hybrid version of distribution.
How many? Can you give us an idea of how many pieces, or how many bags of your product are produced on a weekly or monthly basis?
Well, let's see. We just unloaded a couple trucks, full trailers. So that would be 60, 90 pallets that we just filled our warehouse with. So each of those is a couple thousand bags each. Yeah. So gives you kind of an idea.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What? How did you manage? Was it a challenge to manage that jump from being more of a very much a local distributor of your products to going on the national scene? You mentioned the standard that some of the big chains and retailers have. How big a challenge was that going national?
It has been a challenge. It has been a very big challenge. And one of those challenges is working with national distributors is costly. There's a lot of fees, there's a lot of extra charges. There's just a lot of extra things that don't come along with working with a regional distributor. So yeah, it's definitely that's one. And then also it's nice. It's nice when you know exactly where your product is. And when you work with some of the national distributors, you don't always know. but that's just part of it. That's part of the exchange for growth, that you don't have your hands on all those things, but that you do have the opportunity though to grow and be in places where people are that you wouldn't have access to without a national distributor.
Yeah,
So,
give us an idea of your products, the different flavors and things you have, because I'm sure you've diversified a bit since those early days. And what inspires decisions to go a certain way on products?
yeah, so our hero products right now are our Warrior Snack Mix. And those mixes have been around since 2014. We're a family business, as you know, and so we have each product is named after a family member. So we've got Augie's original. He's our son who BeeFree was created for. So he's got the original. We have four sons. So each of the Warrior mixes are named after one of our sons. And then one of our newer products is our Warrior granola cookie bites, as well as some mini bars. And so those are two new products that allow us to offer a variety of price points, a variety of sizes, a variety of flavor profiles. And so, yeah, so what kind of dictates those changes and those new products, a lot of it is we pay attention to all the trends and we go to trade shows and read journals and all those kind of things just to kind of keep up with what's going on out there in the food scene.
Yeah.
But also we listen to our customers. You know, the reason that we have the granola cookie bites and the Warrior mini bars is because our customers kept asking for something small, something portion control, because they were eating a 9-ounce bag of Warrior mix. While that's a great compliment,
Yeah.
it's a lot of calories. And so this is the answer, the 3 bites mini bar, which is under 100 calories and, has one of them has oats in them, which is a lower price point. It's not all almonds. So, the difference in price is, almonds are 3 times more than oats are. So it's a lower price point and a portion controlled option. And kids love it. So it's a great option for parents to provide their children as well, too. So,
Yeah. What does the Warrior in Warrior Snack Mix mean to you and your family?
well, it's personal. It has a direct connection to our son. When I think of Warrior and I see the name Warrior on our package, it just reminds me of our son and all of the challenges and the extra challenges that he's had to overcome and power through. And so that's what it means to me. And then it also just means that I feel like everybody's a warrior. Everybody has a little warrior spirit in them. But it definitely is a direct connection to our son.
Good. Much more ahead with Jennifer Wiese, the founder of BeeFree. We'll talk about the commitment to community and to workforce as well, and a lot more when the Business and Beyond podcast continues.
At PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of your community. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at pnc.com. Copyright 2022, the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America builds and maintains roads, bridges, and other essential infrastructure that make us the crossroads of America. So thanks to LIUNA members' work, Hoosiers have a better quality of life, like access to utilities, easier routes to jobs, schools, or medical care, and deliveries keep moving. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week is Jennifer Wiese. Jennifer is the founder of BeeFree. It's a line of gluten-free granola snacks inspired by her son. And it's such a fascinating story. And as you think about it, you've obviously grown the business substantially since it was founded. But how important along the way has it been for you to build a brand with purpose? Not just the product, the end product, which obviously important, but to build a brand with purpose.
It's always been there. I just didn't know exactly what it looked like in the beginning. But over the years, building a brand with purpose and something more than just a product on a shelf has always been the underlying heartbeat of why I wanted to create a business. And as our son was exiting high school, looking for his first job before he went off to college, it was obvious. It was so crystal clear of what that purpose could be. And that purpose was all based around workforce development for people with disabilities and support of the whole process of interviewing, getting a job, keeping a job, all of those things. So that experience, that front row seat that we had during that time in our life was really laid the groundwork for what we're doing right now with our Warriors at Work job training program.
Yeah, talk about that because I know that's something near and dear to your heart and very important for Indiana as well. I think the state of Indiana has been supportive. Talk about the program.
Yes, the state has been very supportive. So for a couple years now, we've been doing this program on our own, self-funded, just trying to make a difference in our community. And so we have been working with some young adults with autism on job skills and training. And we have partnered with some of the local schools and a couple of other organizations in the Noblesville, Hamilton County area to help do that. And we have for years have been working to make it bigger, to figure out how can we do this on a larger scale so that, number one, more young adults have access to our programs and that we can help equip them with skills so that they can be employable. And so just recently we've gained the support from Indiana Vocational Rehabilitation. And so they're helping fund our program, and we are an official voc rehab training site. And so we just 4 weeks ago started our first official program. And it's under our nonprofit, which is BeeFree Bakes. We created that nonprofit so that we could gain the support, from our community and our state and other stakeholders. And so our Warriors at Work program started just 4 weeks ago. It's a 12-week program. And, participants are paid to be part of the program, which makes it very unique. That doesn't always happen, that you get paid to train. And so we feel really passionate about that because, number one, they are working hard. They're working very hard to learn and to gain some new skills, and they should be rewarded for that. But also they're giving up their time and their effort and their energy as well too. So we're really, really excited about it. And we have a waiting list already for our next session, which will start in June. And we're just, the vision of it is just to continue to grow and be able to support our community in a more meaningful way. And, also for our community to see what it's like, for them to take part in it as well too. So we're really looking to engage other employers to do the same. So, we're looking at partnering with Meijer and Kroger and Costco and other coffee shops and other retailers in our area so that they can be part of the process. And so it's really super impactful. And, we like to say too that everybody who supports our program, whether they buy a bag of Warrior Mix or they share a post on social media or they send somebody to come and visit our training program, they all make a difference. They all make a difference. And they all help support the fact that what we do is all for the purpose of gaining job skills for people who otherwise might be overlooked.
Yeah,
So.
certainly the discussion around autism seems much more in the national psyche, if you will, or forefront these days. You think back to, as you described, those very early days, finding it difficult to get information that you could really use to do things. Your part, I mean, not just your products, but you are part of raising the awareness, I think, of autism, certainly here in Indiana and beyond.
I hope so. I mean, that's the more people we get talking about it, the more people we get sharing our information, coming to visit us, just being curious, the bigger impact that's going to make. So, I really applaud the city of Noblesville as well too. They, about a year ago, developed the Advisory Council on Disabilities, and I get to be part of that, which I'm really super proud of. But, those kind of things, there are other communities around the state that have something similar, but the more we do things like that together, I mean, join forces and link arms to just create awareness and start talking about the things that haven't been talked about, maybe ever, the more we're able to really normalize that and give a platform for people with disabilities to be included in their environments where they live, work, and play.
Yeah. Back on a business question here now, as you think back over these years since starting the company, is there a lesson, the biggest lesson you've learned being an entrepreneur, being a business owner? You have to wear many hats and do a lot of different things, I know. Anything in your life as an entrepreneur that you look at, anything you've learned very important?
Well, I would say there have been so many lessons, and a lot of times I've learned the very hard way as that happens, but I don't come from a food background. I don't have education or training or even experience in food manufacturing. I had one job as a server. So that's pretty much my professional experience in food. But I would say that as an entrepreneur, I've learned to be resilient and very persistent. And I think those are two of the really big qualities and really big skills that I've developed over the years. And those are the things that really kind of keep me moving forward and always keeping my eye on the North Star,
Mm.
right? So knowing like why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And on the hard days, that really helps keep me moving forward. But, not letting the naysayers knock you down or slow you down is, probably something else that I would say, you know,
Yeah.
don't pay attention to.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that you really answered it there, but staying true to your mission as the company grows, because there's so much that
Right.
goes with just growing the company. How do you do that? How do you, kind of keep that focus on mission?
Well, number one, my husband, we're in business together. This is a family business. He helps keep me focused. But I mean, in all truth, like it's really nice if you have somebody like that because it's so easy to get distracted. There's so many things pulling at you for your attention. We have a for-profit company and a nonprofit organization. And so there are a lot of things that ask and plead for my attention. But when I get offside, Michael is right there to kind of like put me right back on track. And that's really valuable to me. So I definitely am not a one girl show. I've never really tooted my own horn that this is all me. It never really has been. I might have had some of the original ideas, but the reason that BeeFree is growing and thriving is because of our team. We have a really small, tiny little team, but we're so mighty and passionate and powerful. But also it's because of all the support that we have gained over the years. And we've worked hard to, kind of show who we are. And it's also, we're this little Indiana company, but we have a national presence. So writing that fine line of like, are you too small? Are you too big? Are you like, where are you and who are you and
Mm.
how do you wear all those hats? So it's a balancing act and just trying to stay authentic. And also our son works with us at BeeFree as well too. So he's a nice reminder of when I get to work with him and I get to see him in action of why we do what we do. So
Okay, big question. What's next for BeeFree? You have so many things going on the business side, on the nonprofit side, and really making an impact in workforce here in Indiana. Well, where do you see BeeFree in say 5 to 10 years?
Well, we're really focused on more good food, right? You hear it in the media, it's coming. The tables have turned a bit to people are looking more at food as their medicine. They're really scrutinizing what they're putting in their bodies and real food made with real ingredients matter. And I think that's going to be more and more, as the months go on. But so putting more good food out into the world and creating more jobs. So we anticipate that there's still a lot of retailers that don't know of us. So in some ways, we're just getting started, even though it's been 15 years since BeeFree, opened our first retail location. But so being a national name brand is number one. And then number two is getting our job training program across state lines. So, we're putting programs together so that we can share our training program with others and across state lines. So that's, that's where we're going. So
a lot on your plate to be sure, Jennifer. I've really appreciated you taking the time to chat on the podcast. Great to see you again, and congratulations on your success on the business side, but also really making a difference for Indiana and beyond in the years ahead. So thanks very much. Good luck. Look forward to seeing you soon.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Gerry.
All right. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. We're a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gerry Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.